Hello, family. It's so nice to be back with you again, connecting here today for the co-creation together. So, a couple of things have been coming up that I wanted to share with you that I felt were important, especially the time that we're in now, because this is really where our effort with healing is going to count as the lunar nodes are shifting. Not that we're getting into astrology because we're not, but I just wanted to give you the backbone on why I'm talking about what I'm talking about, how it's in such divine timing to our own healing process that we are really needing to take at this time. It is so important that we are focused on letting go of what is not serving us anymore or what is not a vibrational match. It's about moving on from generational imprints, right? Letting ourselves heal the deepest patterns within us that we have not been able to tap into before, that we have not been able to shed out before at any other time, because it always seemed like it was so very hard to do. But that is a mindset. That is a choice of thoughts. Those are the beliefs that have been programmed into this matrix. We've talked about them a bazillion times before. I have more on that in other videos. But what I really want to talk to you about is how we are imprinted, how we run these beliefs, and we don't even know we're doing it, right? Now, I'm going to share from an experience that I just had a few days ago. And it was kind of one of those moments. It was an aha moment, kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I thought to myself, wow, that would be a good video share, because I'm sure if I'm going through it, and I've done a tremendous amount of work on myself, working to heal not only the generational patterning, but also any other, parallel realities where I may have pulled something in as a fractaled aspect of myself that needed love and attention, forgiveness, healing, all of that. So what happened was I've been dealing with ingrown hairs in various ways for a long while, ever since, and I didn't even realize I put the two and two together, but ever since like 2021. And now I never had a problem with them. They were like never a problem on my radar, never really fought with anything to do with an ingrown hair. Okay. But all of a sudden I found myself in this cycle every maybe 4 months, 5 months, finding myself having an ingrown hair that was like feeling painful, because if you've had an ingrown hair, that they can be painful. Okay. And so, going through the day-to-day, and I guess, the work and my responsibility for myself and for my students, for the community, for here, for everything, just took so much precedence that I didn't ask myself the all-important question: why is this happening? Why do I keep getting these? Why is this presenting in my reality, right? Where is this creation coming from? And I didn't, until a few days ago when it happened again. And I got so frustrated. I'm like, what is going on? Because this is really like, I am at my limit for this. And what was very interesting, when I got quiet and I tuned in, and it happened in a matter of seconds, because the minute I let go, because I was wanting now to know why it was happening, how I was creating it, right? Because it's all our creation. All of a sudden, the answer could be found. The answer was right there. And I didn't have to even look for it, because it was right there. And in my mind's eye, I saw in ingrown hair. I saw the hair that should be going outward, that should be expressing itself outward, turning in to express itself inward. And we know that, with an ingrown hair, because it's growing inward, it's painful, right? So something about what was happening in my reality, in my life, was creating pain internally, maybe on a subconscious, unconscious level that I was not aware of. And so I said, okay, give me more, right? So eyes are closed. I'm tuning in. Give me more. Tell me more about what's taking place. And this is how, this is the work that I do. It's all part of the work that I do. And so in intuiting and going in, my higher self started saying to me, well, come on, skin is the largest organ of the body. Skin is associated with the root chakra. The root chakra is all about survival, fight or flight, abundance, the right to exist. It's got many, many different facets to it. Addiction issues reside there, right? The root chakra, it's very, very faceted, multifaceted. It's where manipulation plays out. Oftentimes we have shame playing out in the root chakra, right? And I thought, well, let me look at what the significance of the ingrown hair is. And the energy of that feels very angry. And I'm like, well, okay, so there's some anger that I'm holding toward myself, that projecting in toward myself. And it has to do with survival, right? Because it's skin, it's root chakra, and it's got to be survival. And the root chakra is also synonymous. It's like besties with the heart chakra. Okay, just in case you didn't know, besties with the heart center. So it's about, relationships with others, or the way we express our relationships in ways outside of ourselves, right? Because sacral is how you feel about yourself. Solar plexus is how you feel other people feel about you. And the heart center is your love relationships, your friend relationships, so all relationships. Every relationship resides in the heart chakra, and especially your relationship with your mother, because the heart represents the mother energy, okay? So I sat with that and I was like, why would I be mad at myself, right? And then it hit me. I didn't have to even go far, but I had already opened up that pathway to allow the information to come through. And it was really about COVID. It was about not having pushed myself years before to exit Long Island, to leave New York. And I have been trying to get that timeline to line up. It kind of clicked in 2019 in a way that was kind of uncertain. Would have been taking me to North Carolina, which, of course, if I was in the mountains of North Carolina, I'd be very happy there, right? And it kind of clicked in for me then, but yet it wasn't. It wasn't a permanent foundation, like that I could feel secure going to, moving to, whatever. And so I realized through the experience of really just letting this all come to the light for me, that I was holding myself hostage because I believed that I should have done a better job getting out of New York or leaving here, and it has nothing specifically to do with New York. It just has to do with the fact that there has always been a desire for me to live in the mountains somewhere, to live where there is a lot of nature surrounding me. Okay. And so it has nothing to do with me not loving New York or the situation I'm in. It has nothing to do with that. And what I realized through this experience, and why I want to come on and share with you about this, because it's so, so critically important to our process, is that it was this underlying emotional block, right? It was this anger toward myself for not getting to that place that I love, because after all, if I had to go through COVID, I would have loved to have gone through it in the mountains where I was on land that I could just be out on and not have to be in a tight community where I am now, right? So I found myself finding that very, very interesting. And of course, now, because I've done so much more work over the last 3 years, that belief does not hold true for me at all. I'm actually having the best time of my life. Don't tell too many people, because I don't want people to be feeling like they can't have the best time of their life, right? And like, if we're doing the work, we should suffer in some way, shape, or form, right? Because there are people out there that are teaching that believe that in order for you to be in the work, you have to feel pain and suffering in order to have any kind of shift. So, but I don't. I stay in the work, and because I stay in the work, I'm experiencing and actually maximizing the experience that I have. So I'm having the best time of my life. And this is why I keep saying you can too, because it's so easy when we understand it. It's so easy when we start to pull the little pieces that are coming to us apart so we could take a look at them, right? And once I realized this, I was like, that's not my truth. That's not a belief anymore. It might have been a belief at one time. I know when that belief was created. That belief was created while I was going through the divorce with my ex, because I asked for the divorce in March of 2013, and I had to stay at the house until 2018 because I was not ready. I was in fear of being on my own, of moving out, because I thought to myself, I don't know if, I can support myself doing this, where, I'm only one income, and, I don't know, can I do that even, And because I was in the turmoil of the divorce, I was blocking myself from greater abundance, right? Which is not the case now. Obviously, now I could run off and live on my own wherever it is that I desired to live. But it was really an aha moment that I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I was still playing in a bit of lack there, because I didn't see my own greatness. I didn't see my opportunities in front of me, because even though I wanted the divorce, it was a battle within. It was an emotional battle within, right? It was this having to let go of something that was comfortable. And I know many people don't go through a divorce these days because they don't want to let go, because survival is going to be challenged. But what I learned through this whole thing, and it's funny because once I was willing to jump and take the leap, like when I went into the house that I was living in prior, that was the first experience. Once I made that jump, it was like the universe was going to test me and go like, okay, so now let's see what you can do. You have everything at your disposal and we are supporting you. Can you do it? Can you let go enough that you can do it? Right. Then I had to leap to here, because the rent was like probably a third more, if not half more. Probably, I guess it's safe to say a half, with bigger bills, because I have bigger responsibilities with the utilities and lawn maintenance and stuff, which I didn't have at the other house. So here I am, with paying at least a half more in rent than what I was paying at the other house, and feeling the struggle when I first got in here. And now it's like easy peasy, right? Because I've let go even more, because I keep challenging myself each time. I keep jumping to something higher. Maybe the next jump will be to the horse farm that I really want to live in the middle of the woods. But my point is like we have to keep challenging ourselves, and then free falling and believing that we can do this, because that's how this system is set up, right? And especially now, because if you tune to the energies, tune to these frequencies that we're playing in, that we're experiencing, that we're living in, right? I know some don't recognize that we are playing in them, because it can feel very overwhelming at times, but it is all play if we allow it to be play. And then the manifestation really does happen a lot easier than when we close it down to feeling blocked in some way, shape, or form, like there's no road out of here, right? When that is clearly not our truth. But the interesting thing about all of this is that we are at the perfect time for all of this, because it's like the energies that we're playing in are throwing us a new set of films for our viewfinder. If we ask, we have to ask. We have to say, hey, universe, I want new realities. I want new everything. I want exciting whatever, right? Hey, could you bring that my way? We have to ask. If we're not asking, we're not going to get it. If we're not open to receiving, we're not going to get it. If we're not open to abundance, we're not going to get it. And so the universe is going to be like, hey, sure, Maria, here, take these, right? And then you just pop them in the viewfinder and you click and click and click until you find a timeline that you really love. So it's magical when we are able to create that magic for ourselves, and things that show up for us start to make sense, like this ingrown hair. And then right after that, I noticed something that I thought to myself that had to go back to when I think I might have told the story. Well, I definitely know I told the story in my class the other night, my gathering, about my childhood and my grandparents having been in the war and eating a hard roll dunked in water so that they could survive and, fill their belly and stuff. But, my mother, due to her own insecurities and stuff, was always on Weight Watchers, so I grew up in a household that was always like overly focused, overly weight focused. And, I wasn't an overweight kid when I was young, but my neighbor across the street, who was a string bean, right? My mother's friend, came over one day and she said, oh, she's like, hey, I heard, you finally got your period, right? You're 12 or 13? I'm like, yeah. And she was like, this is the time you're going to start gaining weight. And up until that time, I was super thin. And wouldn't you know it, as the years went by, I slowly started gaining weight. She had basically imprinted a belief in me, in my field, that I took in, and I received it and I took in, right? So think about how I stored that belief that I didn't even realize I stored. And it took me many years to discover that. It was during the course of the last 20 years that I discovered, because of course that happened when I was young, either 12 or 13. And think about that ingrown hair that really was a warning for me that I should have looked at my emotional state sooner to say, where have I been out of balance with feeling like I'm in survival mode when I wasn't at all. I mean, during COVID, I was thriving. My business was thriving. I was like one of the only people working because I was already on Zoom, doing work on Zoom. So I was thriving. I wasn't having any problems. And it wasn't even in my awareness that it could be, the ingrown hair could be even related remotely to any kind of survival or anything like that, or, moving or anything. So, and, sorry to the people out there that might be a little squeamish about hearing about ingrown hairs or a period or whatever, but it's, kind of a fact of life. And so if that's you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but, in the guise of being totally transparent with you, I'm sharing information that's very important for everybody to have an awareness to, because this is how we imprint in our field, right? And if you're a man, obviously you're going to imprint with other things. Like some of my male clients right now are experiencing themselves having a problem with moving forward, aligning with feelings like depression, anxiety, tension, lethargy, because when they were little, when they were young, they were made to feel like it wasn't okay to express their emotions. It wasn't okay to cry. And so now many are working through these types of situations because it's been imprinted to them. And now we have to remove the imprinting. Okay. So everybody's going to be dealing with something. You might not have an ingrown hair, but you're having something else. Okay. I mean, life is just that way. Life is about creating what it is that we're expressing within or inwardly or turning inward, which is why we get sick in the first place, because being sick really has nothing to do with the food that we eat. It has nothing to do with what's happening in the sky. It has nothing to do with any of that. You can choose to play into that game and or that information. You could choose to take that in and be angry and be frustrated and fearful and all of that sort of stuff. Those emotions, the fear, the anger, the resentment, the frustration, all of that, those emotions are what's going to make you sick. But those actual things are not going to make you sick, because the body gets sick holding in unhealthy emotions, like my thoughts that created the ingrown hair, and my thoughts that created my weight gain and all of that sort of stuff, right? So when we're not thinking healthy thoughts to ourselves or feeling love towards ourselves, and we are playing the blame game, oh, I should have known better, I should have done this, I should have done that, we're gonna fall into the health issue crisis and create something that's gonna get our attention, to shift us, to wake us up. That's how it works. It's just how it works. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to your thoughts. We are healing cycles of abuse. And it's not about blaming our parents or their parents or generationally back down the line. It's not. What it's about is taking responsibility, finally taking responsibility for ourselves, right? Taking the responsibility for ourselves and finally saying, hey, I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't like the way that I feel. I want to do something about it. I want to make a change. I want to shift. I want to bring myself back into health and balance. And I'm going to tell you this. Doing the shadow work is not going to work. It's not going to work. Why is it not going to work? It's going to keep you locked in the cycle of abuse. It's going to keep you looking at the shadow. It's going to keep you looking at the things that created the emotional disconnect in the first place. It's going to make you look back at your childhood. We don't want to go backwards. We don't want to go back anywhere. We need to cut that tie to the past and stay completely present. Healing happens when we are present. Healing cannot happen while we are ruminating through shadow work. It just can't. That was the game of 3D that we played. That was a game that we played, and we did a really great job of it. We cycled back. We looked at our moms. We looked at our dads. We looked at the information we were fed as children. We looked at all that. Hey, you know what? Throw all that crap out the window, because it's time to take responsibility for ourselves now. It's time for us to heal those patterns that we've been holding on to because we thought we had to. Okay? We thought we had to do certain things. We have to be the ones that are stepping forward, that are saying enough is enough. We're not tying to those generational imprints. I didn't tie to the generational imprint of being German and my ancestors living in Germany, living through the war, living through the whole Nazi thing, or any of that. I never tied to that. I never took that in. I didn't feel like it was my battle to fight. I still don't. It's not mine. It didn't happen to me. Somebody else lived it, right? I've forgiven everybody because it doesn't have an impact on me. It just doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. I don't give thought to it. It was a storyline that played out with other people, right? The one that I did tune to was the whole Weight Watchers thing, right? That I fell prey to, because that was in my immediate household. That was what I saw every day, what my mother was going through, the torment and torture she put herself through, trying to be slim at a beautiful and curvy size 14 that she just, couldn't get any thinner, and tortured herself with it, right? And that was what I saw. So that was very much in my field and my awareness. And that was something that I had to work through, that I had to really process and get clear on. Okay. And it was unconscious for a long time, but even that I realized that's not my battle. It's not my battle. But I created that story as part of my reality because I thought I had to. So I created the weight gain because I thought I had to. I created the weight gain because my neighbor said I was going to gain weight from my period. And I created that experience for myself so I could experience that because I believed that I had to. I incorporated that belief into my day-to-day reality. But now, being smarter, being wiser, being the me that is tuned into everything, I realized that those were stories. Those were the old slides in the viewfinder, right? Those were the old slides. I don't need to view those slides anymore. I don't need to play in those timelines. I want the new timelines that are all about fun, because I don't have to sit and re-experience all of that. I know how that went. 99% of it is not even mine. If I sit here in my authenticity, I'm going to tell you, like, that's not my stuff. It's just not. I feel connected to the stars. I probably could have been an astrologer. I could have done many things. I could have been an astrologer. I could have been a numerologist. I could have done so many things. I could have had a career with horses. I mean, like, there was a bazillion other things that I could have done, right? So we have to look at that and we have to say, who are we authentically? This is the time. We have to get bold. We have to get bold and we have to get fierce. And we have to be brave and put ourselves out there and be transparent so that we can clear up all indicators of what we are still holding on to that is making life uncomfortable or challenging. And as you can see, even me, who's been doing this work for what feels like forever, eons and eons, right? I'm going to tell you, there's always some small part of the process that'll go like, oh, look at that, right? Oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Huh? How about that? Okay. But it's about letting it go. Let go. Forgive yourself. Move on, right? I look back now, I laugh and I think to myself, wow, I must have been really dwelling in some kind of that I really wanted to leave, but I felt like I couldn't leave. And I was in this push-pull and it was a tug of war, and it was creating all of this density in my field, which eventually poked a hole and came in down through the aura layers and, came and really just like poked a hole in my body, right? And that's how we get sick. That's the truth of illness. So, if you do anything for yourself, look at what is a challenge for you these days. What are you dealing with your health? What are you dealing with your emotional body? And address it. Look at it. Take it apart and say, why am I feeling the depression? Well, depression is you sitting in the past, you thinking about how things were better in the past or how things were different in the past or wanting to be in the past or thinking whatever, right? And anxiety, well, that could be your light body activating. And 99% now, because of how high the frequencies are, it's the light body activating, okay? But we mistake anxiety for, if we're not clear on how we're feeling in the moment, we're going to feel the anxiety and perceive it as anxiety because that's what we've been told it is, right? But how do you know? How do you know you're not having a great moment of excitement, that your light body is activating and you're actually feeling excitement, and you don't know because you're not paying attention, and you just go back to the thought, oh, I know what that is. That's the thing called anxiety. Yeah, that's what it is. It's anxiety, right? But if we don't challenge ourselves out of those stories, out of those belief systems, we're not moving forward. We're staying stuck. We're staying right where we are, right? And let me tell you something. This is what I wanted to say, right? I wanted to make sure I said this today. Didn't write it down, didn't write anything down, but it is coming back to me now. The next day I woke up and the ingrown hairs were completely healed. They were completely gone. There was not an inkling of them. That's how fast the healing happened once I embraced what I was doing to create it. What was I doing to create it? I had to release that. I had to let go. I had to heal that. I had to surrender to the fact that I had unconscious thoughts bouncing around, like in a pinball machine, right? That ball is bouncing around, hitting different things. I was not aware I was creating any of that, because if you asked me, I would be like, no, I'm living my best life, loving life. I finally have a beautiful little room here that I have jam-packed with all my art supplies, and I get to paint, and it's separate from my bedroom, and I can actually use my bedroom as a bedroom, so I could sleep comfortably in there, and my art supplies aren't in there anymore. So life is really good, and I have a beautiful park-like setting. It's a observatory that's near me where I can go walk, and it's like being in the middle of nowhere, and I love it. And I see deer every time I'm in there, and I have an amazing backyard, and my neighbors are really good. We don't bother each other. That's the really good part about it, right? Nobody gets in each other's business, and it's really cool. Everybody just does their own thing and lets everybody be. So I am living my best life, but I know there's another version of my best life on its way. And I look forward to that. I'm excited about that. So I want you to think about that too, because we all deserve that. We all deserve to be standing in it. So if you're not having a good time in the reality that you're experiencing, and something is out of alignment for you, I want you to allow yourself to open up to be a receiver of whatever it is that needs to be healed, that needs to be shifted, that needs to be let go of in some way, shape, or form. Okay. And allow yourself to take a step back and just be, so you could be present and be a good receiver of whatever's wanting to come in for you to help make sense of whatever's taking place, because you deserve your best life. Was it easy getting here? No, it was challenging. I had to do my work. I've been in the work. Well, I could say I've been in the work since 97. Right, that was my official awakening, you could say, 97. Although I was born awake, I kind of went back to sleep for a little bit, right? But in 2000, when I had cancer for the first time, that was the great awakening. And then in 2004, I was like, okay, I'm not doing something right. I got cancer again. Okay, what did I miss the first time around? I thought I got it. I thought I figured everything out. Obviously not. That second time was such a godsend for me, because it put me in the position I'm in now, doing the work I'm doing now, where I understand how the body works, and I understand illness well enough to help people heal. And that's what I do, right? I make sense of life for people and help them with their healing process. But it's not by going backwards. You'll never hear me talk about the shadows. You'll never hear me talk about the inner child. We're just not doing that work anymore. Because the minute you let that go and you don't need any of that, man, you are going to soar, and it's going to shift. Now, no disrespect to anybody that's still doing that work. Obviously, that's a timeline. Everything is a timeline, right? But in my viewfinder, I keep choosing the highest frame, because I don't want to look at anything else. I only want to look at the highest frame. I don't want to look at the lowest frame. I don't need to see what's going on there. I don't need to see what's going on in the mid frame. I don't even need to see what's going on in the frame just under the highest frame. I just don't care. I don't care, right? I only want to know what's going on in the highest frame because that's where I want to be. Because I know once I master that highest frame, that highest timeline, once I master it, I'm off to the next highest timeline. And the universe is going to give me a whole bunch of new slides and be like, here's new slides for your viewfinder. And I'm going to be like, okay, to which one? Just point me to the highest one because that's where I'm headed to. I know it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm ready for it. Let's go. Let's do it because I know what's waiting on the other side is magnificent, right? For all of us, it's magnificent. It's just that sometimes we get stuck in the reality that we think is real when it's really the illusion out there. All of it is. None of it is real. Okay. You can tell yourself it's real with the thoughts you think in your head and then the emotions that you feel in your body. But once you get really clear on the fact that we are all creating our reality, we're creating the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're creating the healthy and the unhealthy. And it's all us. Everything changes. Everything can shift because you're no longer holding anybody hostage, especially yourself. It's that fast and easy. It really is. All right. So I wanted to leave you with this. You might need to watch this a couple of times to really understand or to really process through whatever it is that's going on with you. Let it come to the surface. Allow yourself to feel the activation through this video so that you can let it work through you. If you have something taking place with you and you can't identify what it is, I guarantee you the transmission that was coming through me today will help you bring that to the surface because we know how this works, right? We are all one. So while we are together, I am you, you are me, we are a reflection of each other. Allow this to be the reflection of you looking in the mirror of you saying, I got this. I can do this. I know. I'm going to step away from the mirror. I'm going to go take a time out. I'm going to release, let go, sit back, relax, chill. And it's going to come right to the surface. And I'm going to see it so clearly. And I'm going to be like, there it is. I get it now. I get what I'm creating that I don't need to create anymore because it's not mine. In some way, shape, or form, it's not mine. It's that easy. Okay. So I'm going to leave this here. Know that I love you so, so very much. It was my greatest joy to spend this time with you today. If there's something in this video that you are not clear on, please feel free to drop a comment below and ask, and I will be more than happy to try to explain it or give another analogy in a better way in maybe an upcoming video. If you like this video, please give it a like. Click that like button for me because it moves me up in the algorithm so it can be seen by more people. Everybody needs healing now. This is the time to do this. We are in the biggest shifts because we're going into an all new age. And by the time we get into 2024, nothing's going to look the same. It's all going to look different. Okay. So it has been my greatest pleasure and joy to be with you here today. Know that I love you so, so very much. I love you so much. I look forward to connecting again soon. I wish you a wonderful whatever it is that you're doing. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.